Imagine answering a cry for help, only to find yourself trapped in a place that's been long forgotten by God and man alike. You're shipwrecked, you're starving, and the only thing louder than the wind is the sound of something stalking you from the shadows of an old coal mine. This is the brutal world of Total Chaos. Before we see if you can survive the night, stick around for what you can expect from the mechanics, or skip ahead to my final thoughts and ratings.
Now it's your turn.
As a Coast Guard, you're used to the unpredictable. But when you receive a desperate distress call from the open sea, nothing prepares you for this. You push through a localized nightmare of a storm, only for the treacherous waters to claim your boat. You wake up marooned on Fort Oasis, a long abandoned coal mining town that feels like it's rotting from the inside out. Your only lifeline is a lone voice on the other side of your radio, guiding you through the fog in a desperate search for a way home.
This is where it started.
You'll realize very quickly that you aren't alone in these ruins. Dangerous creatures stalk the shadows, and they don't just want you gone, they want you dead. To defend yourself, you'll need to get comfortable wielding the trash you find scattered across the island. Whether it's a rusted pickaxe, a kitchen knife, or a rare firearm, you'll use whatever you can find to survive. But don't get too attached. Every swing wears your weapon down until it shatters in your hands. If you want to stay alive, you'll need to manage your bag space to carry backups for when your primary defense inevitably breaks. You're going to find a lot on your journey, from healing supplies to random knickknacks. But your pockets aren't bottomless. You have a strict weight limit, and the more you stuff into your bag, the more you'll feel it. Carry too much and you'll find yourself moving at a crawl while your stamina takes forever to recover. Every choice matters. You'll constantly struggle to decide what's worth the wait. Eventually you will stumble upon a crafting table, a rare moment of safety where you can mash your scavenged trash into something useful. But don't expect to just randomly discover a masterpiece. You'll need to scour the island for crudely drawn blueprints first. Once you've found a recipe, your character logs it permanently so you can revisit the blueprint at any crafting table without having to memorize the ingredients. The deeper you travel into Fort Oasis, the more the world begins to warp. You aren't just fighting monsters, you're fighting for your sanity. You'll find yourself treading a thin line between reality and madness, and if you slip too far, the world around you literally changes. Your only sanctuary? The warm crackle of a record player. Listening to music is the only way to ground yourself, and more importantly, it's the only place you can save your progress. Between the combat and the creeping dread, your body is constantly under siege. Take a hit and you might find yourself bleeding out, requiring a bandage just to stop the clock. You'll have to weigh your healing options carefully. Medkits are your gold standard, but stim packs, they're a gamble. They'll patch you up, but they do leave you with a bleeding penalty that might just finish off what the monster started. And then there's hunger. Running and fighting burns energy, and if your stomach is empty, your maximum stamina will plummet. You'll find yourself eyeing moldy food and monster meat with desperation. It isn't pretty, but it keeps the hunger at bay. Fort Oasis wasn't always a ghost town, and as you explore, you'll find the scribbled remains of the people who lived there. Every note you find is automatically tucked into your journal. Some of these are just tragic snippets of the past that build the world around you, but others are vital. When you're stuck on a puzzle or a locked door, your journal is the first place you should look for a clue. You might look at the graphics and think it's not realistic enough to be a problem, but don't be fooled. The visuals are bloody, disturbing, and some of the enemy designs are pure nightmare fuel. Beyond the gore, you're dealing with heavy, mature themes regarding the human mind. While kids might not grasp the psychological weight of the story, they'll definitely recognize a terrifying monster when they see one. This is one you might want to play after they've gone to bed. Whether you're hiding from nightmare-inducing monsters or just trying to find enough moldy bread to make it through the night, Total Chaos is a game that has some interesting bits within. But a thick atmosphere can only carry you so far if the mechanics don't hold up their end of the bargain. Here are my final thoughts and ratings to help you decide whether you should book a trip to Fort Oasis or leave it abandoned. Total Chaos definitely takes its time. While the intro does a good job of setting an eerie scene where everything feels new and unknown, it took about 4 hours before I actually started to enjoy it. Even then, it never became what I'd call exciting. I'll admit, a few cheap jump scares did get me, but most of the gameplay felt simple and lackluster. Honestly, it was the story that kept me moving forward. The story was easily the most enticing part of the experience. Following that mysterious voice through the radio, never knowing whether to trust it while trekking through a hellish, abandoned island, was a total trip. There were plenty of moments where I genuinely questioned reality. Was any of this real? Was it a dream? Or did I really just run away from a screaming baby mom monster combo? It was definitely compelling enough to see it through to the end.
No more games! Come out now!
Since this is an indie title, you shouldn't go in expecting AAA graphics. The visuals are gritty and definitely not smoothed out, but they do the job. I never found myself getting lost because the textures melted together, which is a win in my book. There wasn't a massive amount of enemy variety, but the game introduces new foes just slowly enough that even when I felt like I was doing the same thing over and over, a new monster would eventually show to shake things up. The gameplay, however, had some fascinating ideas that ultimately fell a little flat. Combat rarely evolved beyond a constant back and forth of dodging and timing my swings. It got a bit annoying later on when enemies started automatically dodging all of my attacks, which felt more like a nuisance than a real challenge. I did have plenty of weapons to experiment with, from fast attacking wrenches to heavy hitters like sledgehammers and pickaxes, but because of the inventory limitations, testing them all was tough. While the game technically let me carry as much as I wanted, once I was 10 kilograms over my limit, my speed tanked. I found the sledgehammer got the job done in the fewest hits, so I pretty much ran with that the entire game, not picking up any other weapons. I can appreciate the choice to make me worry about hunger and bleeding. Thankfully, there were enough boxes to break and loot to find that I rarely felt like I was actually going to starve to death. Some of the items were a bit confusing though. The description makes it sound like eating it would be a huge mistake for my health, but there were no actual drawbacks. It was all just flavor text. After the description, items were clear about what they helped or hurt when they were consumed. The story was good enough to finish the game once, but I have no desire to jump back in now that the credits have rolled. I know there's a slightly different ending if I made specific choices, but I wouldn't want to slog through the whole thing again just to see it. Getting to the end once was plenty. I don't think I'll be revisiting Fort Oasis. So let's break the numbers down and see where this game lands on my shelves. The visuals were weak, but got the job done. With plenty of variety in the environments, I wouldn't have minded a few more types of enemies, so I'm giving it a 2. The story was the best part, even if it was a little too loose in the telling. I feel like it had a proper ending, but I would have liked more answers leading there. Still, it earns a 3.
It feels familiar, doesn't it?
The gameplay offered some interesting ideas with the need to eat and craft destructible weapons, but it felt more like a chore than an entertaining activity, giving it a 2. The longevity isn't really there. I beat it after 12 hours, and I'm happy to set it aside for a long time, earning it a 1. The fun mostly happened around the middle of the game. The start was slow, and the end was tedious. But it was still good enough to keep me busy, so I'll give that another 2. Giving Total Chaos an average score of 2 out of 5. Earning it a spot on my bottom shelf. The game is a slow burn, with only a few sections that really had me panicking on the edge of my seat. While the story is intriguing, and I respect the attempt to mix survival mechanics with horror, it just doesn't bring enough to the table. I don't recommend this if you're looking for a serious scare in the dead of night. However, I've reviewed plenty of other games that might be exactly what you're looking for. Feel free to check out the list on your left to see what else is out there. I'm sure you'll find your next favorite in there.